Hello and welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. I am your host, the very, very cold nerd man. And I'm coming to you live to react to, it's Zack Snyder Day. It's Valentine's Day and Zack Snyder Day, which is great because, I'm in love with Zack Snyder. No, because it's just a wonderful day. I can't wait for this trailer to come out. It's dropping today. I'm hoping it's going to have dialogue and really go in and delve into what this Zack Snyder movie is going to be. But before we go into the purpose of this video, which was to rank all of Zack Snyder's filmography, which I've got to show you a funny picture regarding that. But to Snyder's filmography. So I'm going to be just reacting to, doing a DCEU ranking as well. So we're going to start that in a second. Anyone Wednesday treat up to train? Let me know what's on Zack Snyder. Is he a hero of yours? Do you love his movies? Are you more skeptical? Because there's a big fan divide on all, everything that is for DC movie. People think the DC universe should head. So in that sense, I think the DC is, if Snyder leaves in trouble, he's with a huge army of fans who just won't. I don't think they'll be interested in a DC universe that is not Zack Snyder with Zack Snyder involved, which is why I think they should get him to do. In my opinion, I think the sensible thing to do, Zack Snyder, do Snyder, and then you have all of them have, while moving on with the DC universe that is spearheaded, or the the architecture of it is done by somebody else. I don't know. It won't let me find something that I'm desperately looking for. But we're gonna breaking news. Zack Snyder comment why Martian Manhunter is now in this has the plan for the Snyderverse once the cut. We're gonna cover all of that today. Great. All right. So let's news that I've discussed, which is that Justice League director Zack Snyder says Warner Brothers has no interest in moving forward with a sequel. Bad. It's not a bad idea. I think them not moving forward with a sequel isn't a bad idea, but let's read what Zack Snyder has to say about this. So he says, the reality is, as far as I know, there's no interest and or appetite to do more of these movies from Warner Brothers. Wow. That doesn't sound good. That means I don't think they're interested in doing another Justice League movie. I think they I mean, I don't know how much Warner Brothers spent on this fucking movie, man. It must have been a ton of money. They remade a whole movie that they'd already spent upwards of 200 million on, and then they gave, yeah, like 300 million marketing, and now another 70 million to finish. It's going up to, this must be the most expensive movie of all time. I can't think that this isn't the most expensive movie ever made, and it's incredibly bad what came out. I mean, I just look at the action, everything in that original Justice League movie is just fucking terrible. So, and then he puts on with, then he qualifies with me anyway, which, you know, in a way I kind of hope, because I think if you, you know, at least please be thinking about doing another Justice League movie with a different director. You know, I'm saying this for selfish reasons. I want to see a real proper Justice League trilogy before I fucking die. All right, you know, I'm a huge Justice League fan, and I want to see that movie before I fucking die. I don't know what's going on with the Flashpoint movie. I think, again, that's really rushing, because I think they should have had a Flash origin movie first. A Flash origin movie would have made a lot more sense. You know, to get people invested, and then do the Flashpoint. I mean, even if they wanted to just do like back-to-back movies, so it's like Flash one year and then Flashpoint the next year, I think they should have done that instead of you know, just rushing into a Flash movie. Make fucking you know, bring back Rick Famuyiwa, do the Flash origin movie first, and then go straight into the Flashpoint movie with Muschietti. I think that would have been a way to do it. You know, like, since the Famuyiwa movie is there, ready to go, and clearly Jeff Johns has some real problems in terms of his taste in making these DC movies. I think his fucking Wonder Woman 84 was really the writing on the wall for Jeff Johns. If that was his involvement, you know, I still say you know, when it comes down to it, um, it's on Patty Jenkins that really, you know, drag that movie through the dirt, right? Because at least if it had some good action scenes, I think people would have viewed it on the same level as Aquaman. But without any fucking action, let's make a Wonder Woman movie and not put any fucking action in it. She'll just be saving people all the time. It's not like save people once, save all the time. Don't put her in any kind of action scenes where she can actually let loose. Even though you took away her powers, which would give her the best opportunity to be able to fight like, you know, 30 guys and just take them out. You know, it made no fucking sense to me what she did with this movie. I don't know why she did it. I don't know what idea was going through her head, but like, she made a bad script much worse. And she could, that script, you know, cut some scenes out, cut some of the fraff out, and put a few more good action scenes in it, and that movie would have been, at the very least, passable. But as she did it, it wasn't, and it was pretty fucking awful. So Jeff Johns, you know, is really he's a tarnished commodity at the moment. So, you know, I thought it would be a perfect time to bring back you know, one of the Snyder guys, which was Rick Famuyiwa, do a Flash movie, Flash origin movie, go straight into the Flashpoint movie. If they had any sense about them, that is what they would do. If Rick Famuyiwa, of course, would come back, especially with the Black Lives Matter stuff and all of that stuff, giving him a voice to make his kind of Flash movie, would make a lot of financial sense at the moment, and it would be big news. Black director brought back to finally do his vision of the Flash movie, which was going to be much more, have a lot of diversity and whatever in it, and have a point of view in it, and then go into the Flashpoint movie. I don't understand doing a Flashpoint movie without, but essentially a Flashpoint movie is, to all extents and purposes, a Justice League 2 movie. And really, Walter Hamada's the current creative director of DC, that's his baby. If that fails, goodbye Walter Hamada, because that's going to be one hell of an expensive movie. Anyway, but I didn't think finishing this film correctly would ever happen. But I did do my best to, as far as the creation of the Justice League, those different personalities being brought together, that idea, that's what this movie is about. Okay, well, you know, uh, I wish I wish that they would keep someone like Zack Snyder. I think you know, I think it's a stupid mistake letting go of Zack Snyder. I think that Netflix are going to take him up. I think Paramount might take him up to do a what's it called? I think Paramount might take him up uh, to do a James Bond movie, even. I think that he'd be, considering Batman v Superman, he'd be quite good at doing a James Bond movie. I think, fuck, man, he might even be able to be reined in by Disney, by the great, by the Disney machine. So he could end up making other companies a lot of money who have vision, or even the Dark Universe, right, with the Monster Universe at Universal. I think letting go of Zack Snyder is a mistake. Utilizing him in the best way possible is what they should do with him, and that is get him doing some Elseworld movies, get him doing Red Sun, get him doing, keep him busy, you know, get him doing an Injustice, developing an Injustice movie, get him doing other Warner Brothers projects that are non DC. I think it's crazy crazy that Warner Brothers has just cut ties with Zack Snyder. I don't know why. Maybe they really don't like him in the background, but anyway. So this is the other news today. So I think that this is about Martian Manhunter. So Justice League director explains why Martian Manhunter chooses now to reveal himself. Right, which is, I think, again, the fact that he does is like the fact that he's revealing Martian Manhunter is very, very interesting. I'd like to know. I'm fascinated by his reasoning behind bringing in Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter, just to let you know, is one of my favorite characters, and I just think it's kind of funny that he's done this radical new interpretation of Martian Manhunter when there's lore to Martian Manhunter, who Martian Manhunter is. I don't want an old man Martian Manhunter. I want a young, exciting actor, a star to be playing Martian Manhunter. And all respect to, Harry Lennox, who is a fantastic actor with a ton of gravitas. But I don't think that's utilizing him very well as Martian Manhunter. I think that's setting him up to fail. I often also think of Martian Manhunter as very much a black, like African character. Like he had this great African lilt in the Justice League cartoons, and I was hoping they might explore that element of the character. I think exploring Manhunter the way they are is another failure on Zack Snyder's part. We'll see how it turns out, but I just think it's being done for the sake of cool. And I worry about that. That it's just being done for the sake of cool, because Martian Manhunt is a great character, and just stunt casting and doing something like that just for the sake of put, you know, like, oh wow, that's shocking that Harry Lennox turns out to be Martian Manhunter all this time. But anyway, let's look at Zack Snyder's own rationale for making this very beloved character now part of the Justice League, or making him Harry Lennox from the who was also in Man of Steel and in Batman v Superman. So it says of Harry Lennox, during a recent chat with Minutemen, Snyder teased the character's place in his cut of Justice League. And he says, I think that Martian Manhunter is an example, and maybe Superman, frankly. The rest of the Justice League, an example of fighting for what they believe might be part of the reason we're sort of seeing Martian Manhunter out his true form at this point. Also, the threat of Darkseid is pretty great. Not to say that Earth wasn't in peril before, but this one, it feels you can't watch it burn anymore. All right, so quite frankly, doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, like, as a statement, that really doesn't make sense. That doesn't, you can't, it's not even coherent what he's saying there in terms of why he's decided Martian Manhunter should enter the fray at this point in time. We know that he was there during when General Zod invaded. You would think he could have been a lot of help to Superman during that. Maybe he could have come in right at the end and mind wiped Zod so that Superman doesn't have to kill him. That would have been interesting, wouldn't it? What a great ending that would have been. Imagine if Martian Manhunter, instead of Superman snapping Zod's neck, Martian Manhunter had have come in, phased through, and dropped in, and then just, mind wiped General Zod, and then, Superman could have sent him through the Phantom Zone, then Martian Manhunter could have given him his mind back as he sends him through the Phantom Zone. That would have been a very, very good way to, set this thing up. Oh wow, like Martian Manhunter's there, and like finding out his story. A lot of people may not have understood it necessarily, but a lot of people would have been like, oh, who's that character? I don't know. But anyway, like bringing him after everything that's happened, and I don't think he even helps in the Justice League movie. He doesn't help the situation with Steppenwolf. It's not like Martian Manhunter is going to be fighting in this movie. It's just one scene. So again, he's leaving the world up, like basically up to peril. He's leaving the world in this perilous situation, and he isn't kind of helping. I mean, it doesn't totally go against Martian Manhunter's character necessarily. There isn't Martian Manhunter is a very amorphous character. He's been depicted as white, a white cop called John Jones. He's been depicted as a black cop named John Jones. He's been depicted in all sorts of different ways, and he's a very fascinating character in that sense. So we'll see. I don't know how to exactly take this news at the moment, but I know that he's going to be in it. It's going to be cool to see him, which is what Zack Snyder always wants to be, which is cool, even if it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense. So let's go on to rank the Zack Snyder movies. Batman v Superman here. So we've got Masterpiece, outstanding, great, okay, and I'm calling this trash. Yeah, this level D here is trash. There should be bad and then trash. I wish I could. Could I open up another one? Add a row below, and let's call it bad trash. Okay, can we add movies? Let's go into presentation mode. Whoop. All right, so here we go. There's not many movies. I'm gonna put this one I haven't seen, so I'm just gonna put that there. But everything else I've seen. So what do we want to start off with? I'm gonna start off. Let's do it in a row. Let's do it in order, right? I believe the first film was Dawn of the Dead. Second movie was 300. Then Watchmen. Then Sucker Punch. Then Man of Steel. Then BVS. All right. So we're going to start with Dawn of the Dead. Now, this movie for me is somewhere between great and okay. It's a fantastic. I love the zombie genre in general, and this movie is a great. Like it's shot beautifully. It's got a nice script. It's not a masterpiece of cinema, but it's got a tight script. It's got compelling characters. It's got a lot of humor in places. It's got some good acting in it. Some great actors playing their role pretty well. And I think it's just a really, really fun movie. I wish this was fun instead of, okay. And, I'm going to put this in great. But let's put this as great stroke fun. Great or fun, right? So this is a fun movie. This is not um, a this is not a masterpiece of a movie, but it's a fun movie, and it's not even a great movie necessarily. I like watching it every once in a while, but it shows a lot of. I love the way it's shot and the way it looks. Again, you see that style that clearly comes out of his influence by comic books and graphic novels. Like it's drenched within this movie. A lot of hipsters, who watch this movie say, "Oh, it doesn't get the point of the original Dawn of the Dead." Well, he's a new director and he's making his own point with the franchise. He doesn't have to make the same exact point as the original Dawn of the Dead. It can have a different meaning to him as a franchise. This is very different from Man of Steel, so don't try and dock me on this. Changing the character, an iconic character, is very different. He could have said whatever he wanted to say with Man of Steel. He could have said, the point of the movie may have been and all men are fucking evil, right? But if you want to make that movie with Superman, put Superman in it, and then Superman's defeated at the end, by his villain, and you have to concede as an audience that Superman is wrong, right? If you want to do that movie, you can do that, but put Superman in it, right? This movie, like, having a director's point of view is fine in a movie. You don't have to have the same point of view as the original source material or the same point of view as the original filmmaker or director of Dawn of the Dead, where it was consumerism. It was talking about consumerism and using zombies as an allegory for that. Right, that's fine. That's a good message for the movie to have. The new movie can have a new message, whatever Zack Snyder's message was, some kind of nihilistic, whatever message that Zack Snyder had. the thing with Superman is the point of view of the movie. You can have the director's point of view on the movie, and which, but one, don't have that contradict the narrative. If you're going to talk about hope and whatever, make the in the end the film about hope. But also, if you're doing a Superman movie, it behests you to put Superman in it. But anyway, we'll talk about Man of Steel later. Next movie. All right. What is the next one in the line? I believe the next one was 300. Yeah, I think the next movie was 300. Now, I think this movie is straight trash. This is got all the worst aspects, all the worst. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna put it in bad because I've only seen it once, and so I need to give it another viewing. But all the worst instincts for me of a Zack Snyder movie were in this film. It really made no sense. It was all over the place. It was pure style over substance. I didn't feel anything for any of the actors or characters in this movie. It was an unpleasant thing to watch. It really was quite bad. I would put it, I feel like it's trash, to be honest, but because I've only seen it once, I'm not gonna, I don't have a strong memory of it. I'm gonna put it in bad, and maybe I'll redo this one day and change my mind in terms of where it ranks as a Zack Snyder movie. There is little left for the trailer. Greetings from Mexico. Hi there, Celeb Darko. How you doing, buddy? Are you still there? Oh, he's gone, I think. I've said hello to him. But he's gone, I think. Yeah. So, in terms of this movie, again, it has some iconic moments. This is Sparta and all of this kind of stuff. And visually, it looks glorious, obviously. I imagine the action, I can't even remember the action that well, but I imagine the action is quite good. I thought I'd really like this movie because I love like Gladiator, and I love like movies about, that period of history, really ancient times with the warriors and, everything like that. But I just wasn't, I wasn't feeling that as a movie. So it's a bad movie because I can't remember it. So I'm not going to put it in trash because that's unfair. Next movie is The Watchmen. Now, I am very tempted to put The Watchmen in absolute masterpiece. It's so close to being a masterpiece for me. But it is long. It's got a certain rewatchability factor, but you have to be in a very, very particular mood to watch it. It's not something that, just it will be on and I'll just sit there and, go, oh, well, I'll just watch this. I'd have to be in a very particular mood. And I have to be honest with you, when I watch Watchmen again, I often fall asleep because there's a mood to it that it doesn't get you up. It's very cerebral and it's not very emotional, so it doesn't capture you emotionally where you're like involved on an emotional level with the characters, which keeps you awake. It just tires your brain from how much cerebral intellectual stuff is going on. And I don't know if that's a bad thing as a film or if that's a good thing. But I think visually it's magnificent. I think it's one of the greatest ever adaptation, like straight up adaptation of a comic ever made. It has the same problems or critiques that Dawn of the Dead has with hipsters who say, oh, well, it's not exactly the same point of view that the comic book writer was trying to make. And he was trying to say this, and Zack Snyder didn't understand what he was trying to say in the comic. And I'm like, yeah, but the characters are still, that's the core of the characters. He doesn't have to make the same point of view as the comic. He's making it, he has his own point of view that he wants to make with the Watchmen story as a film. But the characters are there. When I look at Rorschach in the comic and I look at Rorschach in the film, Zack Snyder may have be trying to make a different point with the Rorschach character or the comedian character than is made in the comic book, but nonetheless, the fucking character is more than recognizable. It's totally recognizable as those characters, as is Ozymandias and fucking hell. That short film in the middle where he tells the story, the origin story of Dr. Manhattan, has to be one of the best scenes, one of my top 10 scenes in superhero movies ever. This is, for a long time was my favorite comic book movie of all time. I think it's adult, I think it's mature, I think it's clever. I think a lot of that comes from the source material, from the comic itself, but the way he's visualized this shit is amazing. I used to love Sin City and Watchmen because I was like, I'm reading a comic, but like visually, a comic is coming to life for me in a way that it's never come before. I used to think that Sin City was actually directed by Zack Snyder. I thought they were the same director, and that's why I was so excited to see Sucker Punch and 300. I thought, wow, this director is like over the top great, because Sin City was one of my favorite movies as well. So I thought Zack Snyder was just absolutely brilliant, until I found out Sin City was directed by somebody else, and that Zack Snyder really had made Watchmen, which was his masterpiece. It's certainly Zack Snyder's magnum opus. Is it a masterpiece? I don't know. I'm going to put it in outstanding. I don't think it's quite there as a masterpiece, because the rewatchability factor of it, each time you watch it, I don't know that you gain anything more by watching it again. And that's important in a masterpiece for me. Like when you rewatch Fight Club, or you rewatch Goodfellas, or you rewatch, Raging Bull, or, I'm trying to think of a comic book movie that's a masterpiece. I don't think that, thinking about it now, I've never seen a comic book movie that's a masterpiece. Is it a masterpiece within the comic book movie genre? But there are certainly comic book movies that you can watch again and gain more from watching it the second time and the third time. And I don't know that Watchmen is. As much clever, cerebral stuff as it says throughout the movie, I don't think you gain much more from watching it again. I honestly don't. And that's why, one of the reasons why I think it's outstanding, but it's not a great. I think you gain more from watching something like V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta for me is a masterpiece. When you watch that movie again, it gets better and better. The first time I watched V for Vendetta, I didn't think it was all that. As I watched it again, I was like, holy shit, this is a real fucking movie we've got here. And then watching it, subsequently, I've got more and more out of that movie as it goes on, even to the point where when you watch it post this pandemic, the movie even has more relevance today than it had before. So it's a really fantastic layered movie that you get more and more out of. Something like The Matrix, which isn't necessarily a comic book movie, but I think The Matrix is again a movie where you watch again and you get a little bit more out of it each time. So I don't know that I would say Watchmen is on that particular think Batman Begins is a masterpiece, by the way. I think that is a masterpiece of a comic book movie. All right. So next movie, for different reasons, not because you gain more from the more you watch it, but just because it's so fun and yet serious. It's a great movie. I'll talk about that a bit later. So the next movie after The Watchmen is Sucker Punch. Straight up garbage, bruh. Straight up fucking garbage. There is nothing in that movie for anybody. I don't know what they were thinking when they read this script, why they filmed it, why somebody didn't come. He wrote this movie himself, I think. What the fuck? This was the beginning of a very, very grave signs towards Zack Snyder being a visual filmmaker, but not exactly a narrative filmmaker. This was really a big beacon, even more than 300. This film doesn't have a story, bro. Straight up, there is no story in this movie. There's no structure to this movie. There's no inciting incident. I don't even know. It's like a fucking dream put to screen. This is like fucking who's the director of Twin Peaks? I've got to get this director's name, because even this Twin Peaks guy, who's a fantastic director and I love him. This isn't a diss to him at all. David Lynch, right? Even David Lynch, with his deconstruction of narrative, has more coherent storytelling than this. Way more coherent. Watch Mulholland Drive. It's like you know what's going on. You know what's going on in Twin Peaks, which is a bizarre fucking movie. And I don't like Twin Peaks at all. I think that's, I like David Lynch, but that's one of the movies that I just think it's too crazy, for me, with him. I like, like films like The Lost Highway and stuff like that. But Sucker Punch is worse than even fucking It's worse than David Lynch's most surreal fucking movie in terms of the narrative structure there. There's no inciting incident. There's no rising, there's nothing there in terms of a story. It's just like someone's filmed a bunch of scenes. And you really feel this in his next movie, which is going to be very, very hard to judge. His next movie is, of course, Man of Steel. Now, certainly isn't a great movie. Let's talk about what's good about Man of Steel first. All right. The score is brilliant. The visuals, of course, are brilliant. I thought the action was good. I don't think it's as great as people make out. I think I was expecting something a little bit different for him capturing Superman's action. I thought it was really, really going to struggle to, stay with Superman, as he's doing all these kick-ass things in this movie. But in the end, I think it's just, it's kind of what I expected out of the action. I thought there was, I thought it was more going to be action like the way Feora and Superman fight in Man of Steel. I thought more of it was going to be like that style of action where it's really like they're moving almost in a staccato way, like appearing and disappearing because they're moving they're moving so fast, and then maybe do some slow motion and stuff like that to really capture what's actually happening at some time. But yeah, it was all right. I thought the action was pretty darn good. I think the narrative towards the end is completely derailed. I think the characters act very stupidly. I don't understand why people are doing what they're doing in this movie, and I think that's a big problem. Independently of, one of my major problems with this is that I don't think Superman is in this movie. I think the big problem narratively and as a film is that Man of Steel, the people act in ways that don't make sense. And there's a lot of plot conveniences so as to move the plot along. And it's one of the things I hate in filmmaking. When you see that in a film, like a plot convenience, try and take it out because it's noticed every time. It's so glaring. And I watched a film, a video, a YouTube video by somebody called Professor. Um, what is his name? Is it Professor Nerd or something? I can't remember. Professor Comic Book or something like that. I can't remember his name now. But it's a great. So there's certain aspects of his YouTube channel I really enjoy. I think he's too much of a hardliner when it comes to his interpretations of superheroes. But he mentions that about writing in Hollywood at the moment, that they've forgotten the importance of the screenwriter, and that is important. A screenplay is fucking important. It's perhaps the most important thing that the film can have. And the screenplay of Man of Steel is so fucking problematic because people are acting in ways that aren't logical. And eventually you're just like, it's just cascading and building up the amount of illogical thought processes there are of each character that you just give up. You surrender to, because you can't emotionally engage with people who are acting even against their own interest. Like Zod is there trying to terraform a world that has made him a god. He's he's destroying all of Earth when he could easily just, by his own fucking words, he's like, the reason I want to do any of this is I want to find another planet so that, I'm not doing it to be cruel or anything like that. I'm not trying to hurt human beings or destroy human beings or do this genocide because I hate human beings. Um, you know, um, so, yeah, I'm not doing any of it for that reason. I'm doing it purely because I want the survival of my own species. So why doesn't Superman just say, look, why don't we go to another planet, right, with a yellow sun? Maybe you'll have even new and greater powers, right? You could take the codex out of me, and then you can build your new Krypton there. That'll be a simple enough answer. Superman never even suggests this. It would have been easier if he just said, Zod comes down, realizes how weak Earthlings are, sees them as genetically inferior, and decides, let's rule them because we've got all these godlike superpowers now and make a new Krypton where our children are gods. That would have made more sense. And then you could have had the epic kneel before Zod, which I really wanted in the movie. Again, a missed opportunity. It's just fun things like that in films, getting Batman to say his line, I'm Batman. Fun things, or in these films, does the Batmobile come in black? There's none of that fun from something like Batman Begins or Wonder Woman, where there's constant references. I was sculpted by Zeus. I was sculpted in clay by my mother and given life by Zeus. Like good references to the comic material, right? There's none of that in this movie, and Steve Trevor saying, "Ooh, that's neat." Like the thing that you'd naturally say when somebody says that. It's like none of the fun of this being a Superman movie is really there, and that's the big, I think, fucking letdown of Man of Steel. It's just like it's so trying not to be Chris Reeves. It's so trying not to be the comic book Superman. It's trying not to be any kind. It's trying, but it doesn't know what Superman it wants to be. That's the big problem of this fucking movie. It's saying, I'm not that Superman, I'm not that Superman, I'm not that, I'm rebelling against every version of Superman that ever has been. But I actually don't, after I've taken away all the different types of Superman, I don't know what type of Superman I actually want to be. And so therefore I'm just this person who's in a Superman suit who has powers. And I'm watching that person who is not a compelling character, who's not somebody I can emotionally invest in. And then there's these characters doing all these illogical things. They can let. Why could the Kryptonians do space travel? Why not just say, um, that Jor-El is a brilliant scientist and he's finally figured out space travel, right? But he's only built a machine that's big enough to carry. You could have even made it feminist. Like to appeal to the women. Say Jor-El and Lara L. Jor-El's wife. Both are scientists, and they finally figured out, and they've realized, like, the Earth, the Krypton is gonna explode, and they've decided to send their son over, because they figured out, like, with this thing they can save his life. They figured out space travel by themselves. Say they worked for Krypton's NASA or something like that, and they finally cracked how to do, like light speed space travel or warp speed space travel. But up until then, Kryptonians could only travel within their own solar system, right? So that would have made more sense. The fact that Kryptonians could travel anywhere they fucking like, it was just like, okay, so why don't you get off the planet? Why don't you at least take the wealthy, the people who are the leaders, and like say, fuck all you, plebs, fuck all you, the proletariats, fuck them. We the bourgeoisie are going to leave this planet and go to somewhere else. It doesn't make sense that they have space travel and they don't leave Krypton before it explodes. They are suicidal. They are maniacs. I can't emotionally invest in these characters. Nothing makes sense in that way. With this version of the movie. And there is a good movie in Man of Steel. There really is. And I think the easiest way for Man of Steel to have been made a really great, fun movie, not outstanding, not a masterpiece, because there's too many people acting illogically for it to have been made into a masterpiece without like a serious rewrite of the whole script. But one thing I say would have dramatically improved it was if Superman Clark Kent was much more optimistic guy, like, or at least was developing into coming into a place where he was unsure of himself, but like he's got that little bit of optimism inside him, but he just needs more confidence in himself, and then he becomes more confident by the end, right? Like if that was the thing where like Pa Kent was like, no, you don't kill children, and you always save people, and if it had that attitude towards it, it would have been a much, much, much better film, because he even by the logic of the movie itself, right? If Pa Kent had have died when Superman tried to save him, and Pa Kent had have taught Superman, that you always try and help where you can. Obviously, don't expose yourself. Try and be sensible about it, but try and save people always. And if it comes down to it, if it's between life and death, just save people. If you can, right? If that had have been the lesson, and if the lesson had have been of Pa Kent, don't hide. Try and Get out there, find yourself. Again, be careful. You know, the government might be looking for you or something like that. But you're strong, you're powerful. I know you can do it, right? I know you can handle it. So go out there, find yourself, travel around the world, see what humanity is really about, you know. Go off, go to university, get an education, right? Leave this farm. And it's Clark Kent saying, no, I just want to stay here. I want to stay on the farm. I don't want to, I don't want to expose myself. I don't trust human beings. All the kids in school bully me. You know, I just don't trust human beings. I'd rather just stay here on the farm with you, you know, all my life. And it's Pa Kent and Ma Kent saying, no, you've got to be independent. You've got to grow up. You've got to stand on your own 2 feet. One day, Clark, we're not even going to be around. We're going to die one day. And then imagine how powerful it would have been, a scene where Pa Kent actually finally, you know, dies in a heroic way, trying to save a little girl from a you know, from from a tornado, right? He's trying to save a little girl from a tornado, and Clark Kent is trying to save somebody else. And in, you know, as Clark Kent sees his father is about to die, and it's either between saving his father or saving like a little girl or something, and his father puts his hand out like saying this, save the little girl. And then Clark goes and saves the little girl, and then what, with the little girl in his arms, watches his father die, and he's like, no, that would have been fucking epic. And I can't believe somebody didn't think about that. And if you had been thinking, I want to make this a Superman movie, I don't want to make this like, oh, let's try and make him, you know, edgy and cool and whatever. If you had been thinking about making a Superman movie, you would have made a cooler scene. It's trying to make it not Superman and trying to bring Superman down into the dirt of reality that made all the decisions in this film not work. So where do I put this? I'm going to put it at okay, because I think I understand why people enjoy this movie. I really do. Um, but I think it's got a lot of problems, and I wish people would open their eyes to the clear problems that it has. But hey, they don't. Hey, is anyone with me? Celeb Darko? If you're with me, say hi. So yeah, that's my take on Man of Steel. I think it's an okay movie, bordering on fun because of the action, because of the cinematography, because we've never seen Superman action like this. I don't mind all the buildings falling. I just wish Superman had tried to save some people as the buildings were falling. I didn't mind that so much. I wish it hadn't have been like all of Metropolis. I think it would have been more effective if Superman and Zod had have destroyed like 3 skyscrapers or something, as opposed to the whole fucking city. And then after, you know, they've destroyed the whole city, suddenly, you know, like 2 weeks later, you know, Clark Kent is riding his bike trying to start a job at the Daily Planet. How was the Daily Planet built up that quickly again? I mean, I thought the whole city was a wreck after this fight. But anyway, I think it would have been much more effective if they had have just knocked down one building, you know, or 2 buildings, and fight around there. And Superman keeps dragging him back so that he's not destroying more, creating more collateral damage. Superman tries to save like somebody who's uh, falling from a skyscraper, you know, something like that. I think would have been much better. But apart from that, I like the buildings falling. I like seeing the consequences of, you know, 2 gods fighting in the city, and I wish DC would go back to that rather than putting them fighting in these little corners in places. I want to see Ares and Wonder Woman fight in a battle in no man's land, where it's like they're flying everywhere. She's flying into the mud. She's going in, you know, with a sort like a big fucking action scene. That's what I want to see, you know. I want to see collateral damage. I think adding some reality to these movies is important. Seeing the consequences of things. But beyond that, yeah, I do think you know, Man of Steel, it's got a lot of good in it. It's just it needed some studio notes and it needed a real Superman fan to overlook it. And then we come to Man of Steel. Oh, sorry, Batman v Superman. What is this? Is that the theatrical version? I'm doing only one version, and I'm doing the Ultimate Edition version. So where do I put this? Um, Batman v Superman for me, the good way outweighs the bad. In fact, I have only one bad thing about this film, and that's Superman. Superman. Oh, two bad things. Superman and Batman killing all the way to the end, rather than Batman just being a little bit more um, hardcore, right? I think the narrative suited Batman being more hardcore but not killing anyone, because him killing people kind of made him a hypocrite in calling Superman dangerous, because he's dangerous. At least Superman's killing people to save the world. He's just killing people. He doesn't even know if these guys have families, if that, like, he's literally killing people who are carrying kryptonite, which you know um which Lex Luthor has purchased, right? And he's killing those people. It doesn't seem like a death sentence for importing kryptonite. That seems hardly like a fair, punishment for the crime. Him killing people who were trying to keep Martha Kent, hostage. That's different. I mean, you could kind of justify him killing people there, but even still, I think it would have been a stronger point and a point of growth of an ultra violent Batman who just doesn't quite go there in terms of killing, and then he gets closer and closer to the edge to the point he's about to kill Superman, and then realizes the wrong of his ways, and then saves Martha Kent without killing or hurting or maiming anybody. That would have been, for me, the trajectory of where Batman should have gone. But nonetheless, I didn't mind Batman that much. I didn't even mind him killing that much. It didn't bother me as much as it bothered other people. I think Superman's depiction was much worse because he wasn't a character again. He was a void. He was. I know I don't want Superman to be this or that, but I don't know what I want Superman to actually be. That is Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman as well. So I loved his Wonder Woman in it. I really like Lex Luthor's dialogue. I think the performance. I think, again, why pick Jesse Eisenberg to play Lex Luthor? It was a crazy idea, and it doesn't make any sense choosing him to play, Lex Luthor. Not because he didn't do a good performance, but because you knew. I mean, you must have known the backlash if by fans if they don't like one little thing, right? And then, of course, there is, um, you know, um, there's Ben Affleck as Batman. The casting of Ben Affleck as Batman, he did very well in the movie, did as good as he could, but I think it was miscast. In my opinion. I'm sorry. So where do I put Batman v Superman? I'm gonna put it in the ultimate cut in outstanding. It's fun, but I think like the score, I think the cinematography, I think the way it did Wonder Woman, the way it did the Batman, the action scenes, the philosophical aspect of the film, I thought all of that stuff was very, very strong. And so I like it, and I'm going to put Batman v Superman absolute outstanding. Zack Snyder is yet to make a masterpiece. Let's hope that his Justice League is the first masterpiece in his movie game. So apart from that, thanks so much. Please like, subscribe, smash the like button for me, and we'll be coming back with our next video where we're gonna actually do a whole DC movies, you know, DC ranking up the movies, top tier, and so on. So like, subscribe, please comment, tell me what you think. What's your favorite Zack Snyder movie?